Every day is great for us believers. Every day. There are no such things as bad days for believers. Those things don't exist. It may look like a bad day, but it isn't. Why? Because you have a Christ-centered leverage in you. That's why. All right. Good. Yes, you can see me clearly. Praise the Lord. If you're here, let me know in the live chat, please. At the 4-minute mark, I'll begin with the teaching. As always, I'm not using StreamYard at the moment. StreamYard, you have a 5-minute intro. But here, I'll just wait 4 minutes. So when you're here, let me know in the live chat, please. Thank you very much. Again, I'm outside, as you can see. It's 21 degrees Celsius today. Sometimes it goes down to 19 degrees at some points in the Netherlands. So that's why I don't wear any coat. Let's see. Thanks for the thumbs up. Chippy Sweet, thanks for being here. Good morning to you. Well, it's afternoon for me here. So, okay. 4-minute mark. We still have 2.5 minutes to go. You can see around me, I'm outside. Amen. It's not a clear blue sky because it's quite cloudy. Nevertheless, it's warm. You can't see the sun, but the sun is shining. And I'm using this as a parable. The sun is shining, but because the clouds cover the sun, you can't see the sun. But you still enjoy and benefit from the daylight. You still enjoy the warmth of daytime, even though you can't actually see the sun. In a similar way, there are times you don't see the actual blessing, but you still get the benefits of it. For example, now it's not a 4-minute mark yet, so it's not official teaching, but I'm giving this for those already here. For example, you may have this setback, as it's called in the world, that you're unemployed. And in your mind, this unemployment is a big disaster. Because you think, oh dear, now I'm on welfare. And now that I'm on welfare, all kinds of conditions I need to hold on to. Now you have to move to a smaller flat. Because you used to rent a big flat. You used to have an easy lifestyle. So this thing the world calls a setback, this unemployment, it appeared like a curse. However, soon you realize that, hold on a minute, I've been sleeping better. Now that I'm sleeping better, I look at my weight has improved. I'm moving more. I have more time to socially interact with other people. I even have the time to pursue some of my hobbies. And now you realize, after maybe a year of unemployment, that you are actually exhausting yourself at a job that would easily replace you in a week if necessary. You were wasting yourself away for a corporation that would replace you in a week if you would die, or if you would become unfit to work, or if it would be too controversial to have you over there. And you saw colleagues of yours being fired for reasons that didn't add up, just because they needed a scapegoat, but you thought it couldn't happen to me. Well, now you realize that you were fooling yourself, thinking it can't happen to me. So that unemployment was actually like the sun shining behind the clouds, was actually a disguised advantage for you. But anyway, that's just a parable I want to begin this live stream with. And now the real teaching is beginning because the 4-minute mark has passed. Cancel culture. I already explained what cancel culture is. Cancel culture is the attitude of a community or a society to shut down the influence of someone they consider unwanted or undesirable. That's cancel culture. Now cancel culture, hold on. Oh, something weird happened over here, but okay. Cancel culture has been around since the beginning of the world, okay? The first extreme form of cancel culture was when Cain killed Abel. Think about it. Cain had his self-centered attitude on how things ought to be, and his self-centered attitude was in direct violation of reality. Abel, at the other hand, relied on what he saw the Heavenly Father do. Now, Abel didn't literally see the Heavenly Father using for slaughtering an animal and using the skins of the animal to clothe his parents. He didn't see that. He wasn't born yet. But he heard the story from his parents. And he could even see the skin of the animals that got slaughtered to cover his parents, Adam and Eve. So Abel copied what Heavenly Father did. So Abel had a submissive attitude. So Heavenly Father honored his submissive attitude. It wasn't much slaughtering of the animal that Heavenly Father honored, but Abel's submissive attitude. Well, Cain had an arrogant, self-centered attitude. So of course Heavenly Father is not going to honor Cain's self-centered, arrogant attitude. But what happened? Cain refused to face himself, and he canceled his brother Abel in a direct way. Now that's cancel culture right over there. Now, someone say, Rashid, I thought you were in favor of cancel culture. No. I'm in favor of accountability. So when a community or society shuts down someone that is dangerous, I'm in agreement of that. I'm in agreement with that, absolutely. I'm not in agreement with just shutting people down because you want to play God or because you want something. I'm not for that. But anyway, the reason for this live stream is because a lot of people keep pointing out the toxicity of cancel culture. Again, cancel culture as we know it today is mostly on a digital level. In the past, before the digital technology existed, cancel culture happened through institutions. For example, if everyone in a village had issues, okay, and because if you're working, you have issues by default. So everyone around had issues, okay? Instead of everyone facing the issue, realize that, okay, the reason we have issues is because we don't serve the Heavenly Father, it was much easier to transfer the discomfort to someone else. So let's say now you have Joe. Joe is a 50-year-old boy who loves to go fishing. He often goes away for 2 or 3 days fishing, and he always comes back. Now, because people know he's bad and loves to go fishing often, one day he's out fishing, and people realize, you know what? What if Joe simply wouldn't come back? What if we all get upset with Joe? Now, if they all get upset with Joe, and when Joe comes back, they lynch Joe, it will be obvious that they're just dumping. It will show their cowardice. So they would go to the elders of the village and complain about Joe often, and the elders will realize these people just need an outlet for their negativity, and because if they don't have an outlet for negativity, their negativity will pile up and will explode. So they don't want an explosion in a community of violence, so they agree, okay, let's sacrifice the life of this Joe. So one day, the elders say, Joe, you love fishing, we're going to fish together with people from the other village, come with us. And some of the elders go with Joe, and then over there, they kill Joe, but they pretend like an animal kills Joe. Now, you have the authority in the village, which is actually the local government. The elders gave a report that Joe was killed by a wild animal. And now, everyone feels relief. Finally, Joe is not coming back. They got their ease, and the cycle of the community continues. Everyone's at ease again. Now, there will be some people seeing through the scam, seeing through the hoax, saying, hold on a minute, he was killed by a wild animal? Okay, well, where's his body? Show us his body. Is what animal killed him? Now, there will be some people asking questions. Those people are often silenced. Why? Because the purpose of killing Joe was to secure the ease of the community. So that's why everyone must agree with the killing. In this case, they counseled Joe, not because something wrong Joe did, but because there needs to have a victim. So cancel culture or canceling people in the past happened through institutions. Those institutions had symbolic authority over the masses. So when the cancel was done by the authorities, everyone kind of said, hey, the authorities did it, so it's not on us. Even though it was the crowd who longed for a victim, the authorities enacted the violence on behalf of the crowd just to keep the crowd in check. If you have questions, let's relate to the topic. If it doesn't relate to the topic, you can email me. All right. So, and you can ask questions at the end. Our live stream is over. where I'll give people always a minute to ask questions. Now, about this cancel culture thing, I'd rather explain to you that cancel culture is nothing new. It has always existed, and it has a good side of a good effect that it keeps people in check. But on the other hand, it's often, not always, but it's often just a way to mitigate the anger and the resentment of the crowd. That's how simple it is. Now, about cancel culture today, because cancel culture today is quite different than cancel culture in the past, in previous centuries or previous millennia. The big difference is that now there are no official authorities regulating the victimization. The first time someone was counseled was with Abel, was killed by his brother Cain. After that, counseling was done in a ritual way just to symbolically absolve the perpetrators from responsibility for doing. So, canceling people today all happens online. Well, it's obvious. Online technology has taken over the world. The economy has been digitalized for, I won't say the most part, but for a large part, the economy of the world is digitalized, and most of financial transactions happen digitally also. So it's natural that a lot of social processes will also happen on a digital level. And for example, you are seeing me live now walking around. 100 years ago, this over here was not possible. I would have to record it with a camera, then I had to send the negatives over to someone to process them, and then it would have to be shipped to someone. There were airplanes came in later. Yeah, there were airplanes in 1921, yes there were, but not to the extent we have today. But in any case, because the world today is digitalized, instant information is available to almost everyone. But here's the thing, just because instant information is available, that does not guarantee that people are able to deal with instant information. If people have an abundance of information that they can choose from freely, they are more likely to select information that reflects their own expectations. So you get a confirmation bias. A confirmation bias when you insist on evidence that prove your way of thinking. And all the evidence that might prove otherwise you ignore because it's much more comfortable to be validated in your viewpoint. Now, I don't think that the confirmation bias didn't exist before digital media. It did exist. But right now, the confirmation bias, it is out of control because people today can just pick up their mobile phones, or they can go to a computer in some library, and they can gather as much information that they want about almost any topic. And the various scams also. If you want information from a liberal point of view, you have it. If you want from a conservative point of view, you have it. And most of the time when you find information, there is some bias behind the authors of the articles, or some bias behind the people that provide the media. They're either part of satanic cults, or they believe in some New Age doctrine, or they have some church agenda. So you think you're getting factual information, but you get factual information in a given context. And the context that you receive information is going to influence how you think. So you are being shaped by the information you receive without you being aware of it. So that's why a lot of people think that they're well informed because they're quote unquote doing their own research. What actually is happening is that they're gathering information, but they don't have a filter to filter the information through. They were never learned, they were never taught, and they were never trained how to filter information in an objective way. And because that, when they get information, the information triggers them emotionally. When their emotion triggered by information, they agree with the emotional trigger. So someone that's nationalistic, they want an ethno-state, so they want a country where everyone is from the same ethnicity, everyone looks like one another. People have this idea. For them, migration or mass migration is a disaster, because that means you will have a lot of foreigners who don't look like the local people, and they're going to have children too, or some even have children with the locals. And what's going to happen? You're going to have ethnic diversity, and people don't want an ethno-state. They want one ethnicity throughout the country. They want everything to be homogeneous. Now, someone who has this mindset, they want everything to be homogeneous, when they encounter information about how mass migration is contributing to the economy, they become skeptical, thinking, yes, how come contribute to the economy? They will look further. Then they encounter an article that says that mass migration can lead to get information, say, aha, get information. Let me know more about that. Why? Because they have a viewpoint that they're holding on to. The reason that this viewpoint is because they just want to avoid. They want everything to be similar so they don't have to face challenges in life. But instead of face themselves and ask themselves, why am I so in this ethnic state thing? They now just want to avoid face themselves, so they want external information to gratify them. And that's how you get infotainment. You have entertainment, which is used to entertain people or to give people ease, and you have infotainment. Infotainment is a phenomenon where information is used in such a way to gratify people. So information is not used to inform and therefore transform people, but it's used to satisfy the relief seeking of the masses. And often the border between entertainment and infotainment is not it's not clear. And the thing is, when people are receiving infotainment, because I'm saying it as it is, when they receive infotainment, they are seriously convinced, hey, I get valuable true information from official sources, where the officials is mainstream media or a pastor in a church, and because they perceive that institution, that individual as an authority, everyone else who says something contrary or has critique is automatically either a conspiracy theorist, or they are a fool, or they are a heretic. Look, if Christ himself said that we need to prove all things, or in modern English, test all things. So we need to examine everything to see whether it is the will of God or not. So Christ does not expect you to have blind obedience towards him. Christ wants you to obey him unconditionally, but this unconditional obedience to Christ is based on your understanding of reality, that he's God, he's Lord, he's your shepherd, and he never fails. And Christ even challenges you to examine him and to examine the reality for yourself. Christ does that. However, when you go to the institutions in the world, they do the opposite. They tell you, we are the authority, what we say you need to listen to, and if you don't agree with us, there's something wrong with you. If you're only allowed to open your mouth and to have an opinion or a view if we allow you to. You need to earn your degree and earn your right to speak through us. And when you earn your right to speak through us, you will say what we want. That's the loop of worldly authorities. They have a claim, and anyone that challenges the claim is attacked. You're only allowed to speak if you validate the claim you put out. That's what narcissistic society is. Society is a narcissistic construct, as already explained to you. Now, what does all of this has to do with cancel culture? Quite simple. Anytime the public is challenged by reality, they look for a victim to cancel. Now, whether the victim is guilty or not does not matter. Oh, and look at this, look at this. Oh, it's good that I mentioned this. Another thing about this digital cancel culture, because we are in a digital era now, so the cancel culture also happens on a digital level. This digital cancel culture feels one ugly thing about worldlings. Someone is only cancelled when people cannot see any benefits to that individual anymore. For example, let's say you have this actor. I'm not going to mention names here. You have an actor. The actor at roles in various movies is a well-known established actor, talented actor. One day, suddenly, there is a whole wave of criticism against him online for sexual harassment of women. And then suddenly, you have radio stations that don't want to invite him anymore for interviews, so he's muted, as they call it, which actors say you have no right to exist anymore. Then he can't get any roles in other movies anymore, and now people are afraid of associating with him because of the anger of the crowds. Hold on a minute. Those cases of sexual harassment, they happened more than a decade ago. And even according to law, he cannot be prosecuted anymore for those cases, even if it really happened, we don't know. Even if he really sexually harassed those women, if it happened more than a decade ago, then he cannot be prosecuted anymore. That's the statute of limitations according to the laws of the countries. So if you go to the courts, they can't do anything anymore, because it happened too long ago. Yet, online, people want to constantly saying, oh, he harasses women, he's such a horrible guy. Hold on a minute. It's not even proven that a sexual harassment actually happens, okay? And how can you prove sexual harassment? If there's a camera, or if there are wounds on the woman shortly afterwards and she went to a medical doctor to examine her, okay, now you can have some proof if something bad happened. But if something happened 10 or 20 years ago, for just 20 seconds, how are you going to prove it 20 years later? You can't. So the sexual harassment case is just political manifestations of unrest. People need someone to escalate on. And sexual harassment or sexual violence, unless it's done openly and is filmed, is hard to prove. Our whole community can say he molested someone. And they can even hire an actress to say he molested me, this and that. And because of emotions, people fall for it. But where's the proof? No. But here's the thing, whether or not a sexual harassment happened, doesn't matter. Here's the thing. If someone is truly misbehaving and they are repulsive, there will always be some sign that something's off with someone. So if this actor is really such this horrible individual, let's say this actor is really this horrible individual, why is it now, after decades of career, that they're turning on him? Why didn't they turn on him back in the day? Oh, because back in the day, his career was booming. Back in the day, his name triggered interest and investment. But now his career is ending. Now he's not that relevant anymore in the entertainment industry. Now people suddenly feel grieved by him. For example, I did a live stream once about this Australian TV personality who has been molesting minors, often children, for more than 20 years. And he even worked with fellow actors on TV series, okay? And one of those child actresses even told the people around her that this man was touching her in weird ways. She was uncomfortable. Everyone told her to shut up. Nobody wanted to hear about it. The fellow actors on the stage even noticed that things were wrong, because he would fondle the little girl, sometimes even in front of them. But here's the thing, this guy was a big TV star back then, internationally. He was one of Australia's big stars. And all those other actors who were in the beginning of their career, they got a boost in their career, so also in their financial success, because by associating with that guy. So it was clear, if they would reveal the monstrous attitude of this actor, that he's really not this nice guy that everyone thinks he is, they will also sabotage their own career, because they'll be remembered for being associated with this child predator. So if this man would have been exposed as a child predator that many years ago, all those other people around them would not have been able to benefit from him. It's only now that this TV personality, well, actually it happened a few years ago, but it's only now that this man doesn't have a career anymore. Now he's almost forgotten, and now that people can't get advantage from him anymore, now suddenly all those former colleagues come out and say what type of horrible man he was. Okay, you knew what type of horrible man he was a while back, when he was doing all those weird things to children. Why did you stop him back then? Why did you expose him to protect the children? No, you were focused on your own benefit and your own relief. But now that you can't get benefit, now that your career is over, everyone forgot about you. And this man whose career is also over after all after decades, but he still has some financial leverage. Now that you are losing your financial leverage and he still has financial leverage, now you want to break him down just to get something out of it. I made a live stream about this. You can watch it. Just think about that. Now that nobody can benefit from that man anymore, now they're counseling. But when they witness the crime, they didn't do anything. And the reason they come out now because of the statute of limitations. If you witness a crime and you didn't report it, after several years, a courthouse can't charge you anymore. So according to law, now they come out, they can't be arrested anymore. And so now they can't be arrested anymore that they come out to play like they were horrified by the man. Okay, if he was so horrible, why did you keep smiling with him and keep involving yourself with him? So this digital cancel culture reveals that people don't really care and they're not even interested in the well-being of the victims. They're not. They're only interested in their societal relief. Worldlings don't want to be confronted with anything. They just want to go through life unhindered, unchallenged, and unbothered by anything. They just want ease all the time without having to face or deal with any difficulty in life. That's worldlings. Because if a child tells you they've been touched in an improper way, you know there's a predator out there. You need to face who's the predator. That predator may be married, he may have children, so you realize, ooh, if this comes out, it's going to cause a big shock in the community, that we need to deal with the shock and all the drama that comes with it. You know what? Let's pretend like the child is making it up. We don't want to hear about it. Let's deny it so that we are left alone. That's how it often goes. Worldlings, I'm not saying every worldling. There are worldlings who are the exception. There are worldlings who decide, you know what? I'm going to report this. I'm going to stop this. You have those worldlings, but those are exceptions. Worldlings in general, they just want to be left alone. So if you're victimized and they as a community need to intervene on your behalf, they often don't want to intervene because it's going to cost them something. They're going to blame you, the victim, for bothering them, even though it's their responsibility and their obligation as a community to look after their own. And you're one of their own. But when you do your part by warning them something is off, they turn on you. That's how it goes in the world. Communities enact society so that they don't have to deal with stuff. And it's only when it becomes too ugly for them to keep denying stuff that they pretend like they're those justice warriors who want what's right. The same with this climate change situation. When the British Empire in the 19th century and in the early 20th century was putting their factories all over the earth and polluting the air and polluting the landscape, nobody cared. Because why? There were many people making money, and many people moved into cities and they had an urban life. It's only when the pollution became too obvious that they couldn't avoid the pollution, now suddenly everyone's concerned with climate change. We need to watch out with the climate, we need to go green. It's only when the pollution began to harm them directly, because they keep encountering empty bottles of plastic at the shores. They want to go to the beach to have a good time, and they keep encountering dead animals who swallow plastic. It's only because now it hinders them in their daily relief. Now it's a problem. Now something needs to be done about it. The same it is with child trafficking. It's only when it's in their face that it becomes an issue. For example, there are many child brothels in Germany. I'm in the Netherlands. Across the border, in the east, when you cross in Germany, there are many child brothels over there. Brothels where grown folks come to pay to have sex with the little children. Actually to rape children, because children can't have sex. They're not on that level, physically nor mentally. And the deals are arranged from the Netherlands. And this has been a booming business for decades. And since the digital era, it even increased. And there's big money being made in it. Now ask yourself, how come this child trafficking business is booming, yet most of the people aren't even aware of it. Someone's lying over here. And many of those suspects involved in that child trafficking are people with public functions in society, whereas they work in the financial sector or in politics, some even working, or some even involved in church, or even use churches and charity organizations to hide what they're doing. Now, those children were trafficked, they're not all killed. After a while, when they enter teenage years, they're abandoned, they're thrown away, and they end up homeless, or they end up addicted to drugs. Many of those children will become adults, they have PTSD, all types of psychological problems haunting them, and they come out. They come out and talk about it. I believe a year or two ago, there was this man, 40 years old. He didn't want to show his face. He was talking about how he was trafficked as a little boy and how many of those wealthy Dutch politicians came and raped him on a regular basis. And how everyone in the neighborhood in Amsterdam was aware of it, but allowed it to happen. When he cried out, people just told him to shut up. Now he's a 40-year-old man, and till this day, he's suffering psychological damage. He can't function properly as an adult because of what was done to him. But hey, where is the outcry in Dutch society about this? Where is it? We don't want to be confronted with that. Leave us alone. That's not bothering us. Oh, you're a grown man. It's your responsibility to look for healing. Go to the psychologist. Just do it over there. That's the attitude of the masses. Yes. Wolborg MS. Yes, it's true. There are child brothels in Europe. And this country, the Netherlands, is the #1 country in hosting child pornography. Yes, the Netherlands. It's also, together with Denmark, the #1 region that hosts animal porn, raping animals. This nation over here. Yet, people complain about the Moroccan community, that they're not well integrated. They complain about mass migration. They complain about so many things, but the thing in their face, the mass sexual molestation of children, this whole booming business around it, they don't see it. They're blind. They don't want to be bothered. You mention it, people say, oh, I don't know. They pretend like they don't know anything. If 1 in 3 children are sexually violated in this country, according to statistics, now 1 in 3 is quite a lot, but it simply shows that it's a lot that happens. That means there are many adults around here who are carrying wounds of what happened to them. So there must be some signs that something's off. People don't want to hear about it. So let's say now that someone exposes some politician for being involved in child trafficking. Now, in the beginning, people will say this is a conspiracy theory. No. But once the evidence is shown over and over again, you will see that they'll counsel that politician for the sake of preserving ease of the community. They don't counsel the man if they're truly horrified for what type of evil creature he is. They counsel him because they don't be bothered with the fact that they, as a community, allow this to go on. They don't want to look bad. That's it. Oh, and by the way, Asia has a lot of child brothels also. But it's another thing people don't talk about. And they also talk about that many of the child brothels in Southeast Asia, namely in Cambodia and Thailand, is mostly Western men, European men from Western Europe that pay large sums of money to those pimps over there to have their way with children. There was this Dutch man. He used to be a school teacher. He retired and he went down there and he had the whole business of child trafficking. He even made videos selling them around. They arrested him. And when they arrested him, he tried to commit suicide because I want to go to prison. Well, he's in prison now. So, cancel culture. Cancel culture often is used, especially in the digital era, as a quick fix. Some disturbance is is revealed about the community, instead of the public facing this disturbance and going to the root of it, they just say, okay, there's a lot of controversy surrounding this actor or this politician or this guy over here. Let's escalate on them, make their life miserable and destroy them, make them homeless or cause them commit suicide, and then it's over. Nobody talks about it anymore. Because if they have to go to the root of it, they need to explain, okay, if this woman is lying on her husband and her husband abused her, and she's been doing this for years, why is it nobody ever addressed her? Oh, because in that community, there is this issue that they don't hold women accountable for their bad behavior. Oh, and why don't they hold women accountable? Well, because the fathers suck in fatherhood. Oh, people don't want to face this. So now you have a whole generation of women out of line in that community, and now that they're grown women, it's quite hard to manage them. So people don't want to face it, they want to be confronted with this. So whenever a woman acts out of line against a man, they tend to blame the man for it. So when the man is being harassed, they blame it on him and cancel him. That's how it goes. Cancel culture, especially in the digital era, is just a quick fix so that people don't have to face the discomforts that are going on. And that's the reason why we are not allowed by the Heavenly Father to be unequally yoked with the world. We as believers cannot be equally yoked with the world ever. That's not possible. You can only be yoked with the world if you're a part of the world. If once you are a believer, you can't be yoked with the world anymore. It's going to be unequal. You're going to have an advantage over them that they can't stand, and at the same time, because you're vulnerable to them, they now have a leverage in harming you. So it's not the relationship's going to work out well. So, cancel culture indeed has a toxic effect. But why is it toxic? Because people want quick fixes. They don't want long-term change for the better. Because long-term change for the better implies that they need to change and become better. And to change and become better, you must admit that you were worse off. Becoming better means that you used to be worse. So they don't want to admit how bad they are now. They don't want to admit that. So they want to pretend like it's all out there. The problem's out there. Let's deal with stuff out there, then it's okay. For example, President Joe Biden, he basically arms the Taliban, abandoned American citizens and many others, and even brought, I believe, around 123 or 124,000 Afghani people out of Afghanistan, evacuated that many people, and many of them might even be criminals or people with terrorist motive, they don't know. So he risked bringing terrorists into the United States with taxpayers' money. Okay? And people are saying, fuck Joe Biden, they're all upset about Joe Biden. Okay, but Joe Biden is still walking around safely. Now you had 10,000 Haitian refugees, families, in Texas. And now you have the Texas troopers riding on horses, whipping them, and using lasso on them to capture them like slaves, reliving the slavery that their ancestors were doing. Hey, conta, me dá bom. So, understand this. The Haitians were refugees. They formed no threat to the United States at all. Yeah, we need to whip them. We need to put them in their place. We need to put those niggers in their place, whipping them like we did their ancestors, to kick them out. Oh, but your president just armed. Not just 2 months earlier, your president armed a terrorist movement with $86 billion of equipment, and even evacuated with military efforts 124,000 people, of which you don't even know whether their background is pure and secure? What? Where's the outcry in the United States for what we're doing to those Haitian people? Oh, I forgot. The United States of America is based on white supremacy. So according to the philosophy of the United States, black folks or people from African ancestry should be low anyway. So those Haitians, man, they should know their place. It's not like we killed them, so they just have to take it. We're just following orders. Yeah, right. Nah. That's the thing. Why isn't Joe Biden canceled? I'm telling you why Joe Biden is not canceled. Joe Biden is not canceled because for them to cancel Joe Biden, they would have to explain how Joe Biden could have been tolerated for over 50 years. This man has been in politics for 50 years. So he was in politics for 50 years, and he now became he used to be vice president before, so already had a presidential career as a vice president, now became the head of state of the union. And now he is humiliating the United States like that. You mean to tell me that throughout those 50 years that he was in politics, nobody noticed that this man is not equipped or it's not a good idea for him to lead anyone? They talked about Trump, okay? And I'm not going to discuss Trump over here. Trump's presidency is history, and the damage he caused is history also, even though it still affects us today. But Biden, and if you look at Biden spoke about Haiti in the past, Biden even made jokes saying maybe Haiti is better without the Haitians. And I was thinking, whoa, why wasn't he canceled back then for saying such a racist, ridiculous thing? So Biden, in the past, expressed contempt towards Haitians. He now is president, and under his presidency, Haitians are treated like slaves again. Wow. Why isn't he canceled? Because secretly, people endorse the crap Biden is doing. For them to cancel Biden, they would have to cancel themselves. I'm not going to say who was better, Trump or Biden. Biden is still in office, and he's only been in office for almost 9 months now. Yes, he's been in office for 9 months, 9 months and a few days. And look at the disasters he's doing. Now, Trump also did disasters, but with Trump was a bit more managed. Because Trump had something to lose, namely his own fortune and his own estate. And his children, Trump's family was also involved in the presidency because he also had stakeholders that were dependent on them. So Trump was more managed still. I know this may sound weird, Trump was more managed than Biden. Biden, what does he have to lose? Biden has little to nothing to lose, and because he has little to nothing to lose, he can afford to just escalate like that. And he knows very well that people will allow him to do it. Because if people come up against him, he can show them the receipts of the public hypocrisy. That's the leverage Biden has over the American people. He has been doing his derogatory things for decades, and he got away with it. So that's the advantage of the American people. If the American people openly turn and want him to be impeached or want him gone, he can open his mouth and point out all the dirt of the American public for the past 2 to 3 generations. So that's why there's nothing about Joe Biden. This doesn't count for every American of European ancestry. Because there are Americans of European ancestry who are strong believers, some are even following my channel. But this is the case for, you can say, white Americans that are worldly. Not all of them, but many of them, they are upset with Joe Biden. But the reason why they don't want to cancel Joe Biden is because of the following. Joe Biden keeps their symbolic privilege alive as long as he's in office. Now, Joe Biden is actually destroying that symbolic privilege by humiliating them, but still, as long as he's there, it's the face of a white man or European man that's in charge. And that symbolic value is what a lot of those European Americans rely on. I'm talking about the worldly ones. I'm not talking about the believers who will follow the Heavenly Father. And that's why those people, even though they couldn't stand, can't stand Biden, they still will tolerate him. If it was Obama where all this went wrong, if it was Obama in office and this would have happened in Afghanistan or Iraq, you would have riots throughout the country. You would have people going to the White House trying to kill him, trying to overthrow everything. Now, the reason I mentioned Joe Biden in this live stream is to point out to you that the public only counsels you when you become too inconvenient for them. If you are the survivor of domestic violence in a neighborhood and you survived it, but you can see that nobody intervened, nobody helped you out, but they all demand you to show respect, to have manners, all of that, you see their narcissism. So you surviving and seeing what they really are is uncomfortable to them. So now they will take action against you to set you up or to kill you, just so they don't have to face, so they don't have to be confronted. Or let's say that you are this movie star or you are this TV media personality, but let's say you have no crimes, you have nothing wrong with you. But let's say that your success angers people. Now, just to keep other people calm from offending riots in the community, they will counsel you. That's how it goes. The only reason Americans tolerate Biden is the same reason they tolerated Trump. Symbolic power. They want a white man of European ancestry to be the face of order and the institution. That's what they want. So as long as that desire that's deep-rooted in their lack of self-worth, as long as that is there, they're okay with it. They will criticize, they will say, fuck Joe Biden, they will do all of that, but when it comes down to it, they will defend Joe Biden's office. If they really wanted Joe Biden to be gone, Joe Biden would have been gone by now. Joe Biden is not even that powerful. His cognitive abilities tend to fail at times even. So it would be quite easy to say, hey, Joe Biden is not fit for office because his cognitive abilities are not proper. I mean, the president one time came to walk towards a news reporter. The news reporter asked a question. He said, my butt has been wiped. When I first heard this, I was thinking, this is a joke, this is fake news, it's going to be true. He's not going to say that and embarrass himself and the American public that way. But then I saw the video and he actually said, my butt has been wiped, to a question that has nothing to do with his butt. And there were more things he said that were actually out of line. So it would be easy just to do an inquiry with professional mental health professionals and say, Joe Biden is not fit for office, let's impeach him. They can do that, but they're not doing it. By the way, Trump also said certain things that were a bit out of line, not to the same extent Joe Biden did, so they could have done it to Trump too back then, but they didn't. So when it comes to cancel culture, don't be so focused on the people that are canceled. Whether it's R. Kelly, or whether it's Harvey Weinstein, is that his name? Harvey Weinstein, or whether it's Johnny Depp or whatever. Don't focus on the people being canceled. Ask yourself, why is this individual canceled right now? Why this timing? Anytime society is canceling someone, it has nothing to do with the one they're canceling. Because if you want to cancel Johnny Depp because of allegations of domestic violence, only allegations not proven. There are many, many more political figures, even public figures, who have been proven to be involved in domestic violence and are still out there. Chris Brown, for example. I know he's African, so he's black, but it doesn't excuse him. Okay, Chris Brown is one of them. And there are more. So when they cancel someone, you need to ask yourself, what's the timing? And secondly, what are they hiding? The public is always hiding something when it comes to someone. They don't cancel someone because they care that much about the victims. Not true. When they cancel someone, they do it to hide something. So always ask yourself, what are they hiding? What are they hiding? That's what you need to ask yourself. And once you ask the question, what are they hiding? Now, you will see things completely different. And now you realize, they want to cancel this individual for saying something xenophobic, something racist, but, okay, but why now? Why not in the beginning when they were doing this? So it was all right when they did it 10 years ago, 20 years ago, but now it's completely wrong? Some people would say, yeah, but values change. Okay, if values change, then change the economy also, so that homeless people can get jobs easily. Change the economy so that families can prosper now, instead of being exhausted by the 9 to 5. If values change, then be consistent and change all the values so that everyone will benefit. No, values only change when they're about to target someone. So, I already told you, politics is a playground where the conflicts of the community are fought. Politics is where the community or communities fight out their issues without physical weapons. That's what politics is. So that's why left wing, right wing, both are hoaxes. Because both have positive elements that should be combined together to make things work. But they divide the positive elements and now they keep on fighting one another. So, am I endorsing cancel culture? No. I endorse holding people accountable, because by holding people accountable, you improve the community. That's what I endorse. So I'm not fighting cancel culture, because cancel culture is just the world's way to keep itself in check. Without it, the violence will just escalate without end. So that's the best the world has. But that's the thing, it's the best the world has. But just because it's the best they have doesn't mean it's correct, just mean the best they have available. So what should the world do? Stop being the world and become the body of Christ. That's what they need to do. Oh, but they won't do that, so cancel culture is the best thing they have to keep each other in check. And the reason why so many people are upset with cancel culture today is because the institutional power that regulates victimization is fading away. In the past, you would have to be victimized by the elders of the community, or you had to have one of the elders turning on you, and everyone would let it go. Everyone would just say, okay, this is it, it's over. But because there's no institutional power now that regulates the victimization, it gets out of hand. The crowd online is out of hand, escalating. And there's no institution regulating the escalation. And that's why a lot of people don't see what is really going on. Digital witch hunts. And now a lot of people have no choice but to see how toxic it is. But that's how it always has been before the digital era. So, instead of quick fixes by counseling someone, you should focus on dealing with the deep-rooted issues that people are hiding. That is the solution. But this thing, the world's not ready to do that. Oh, they never will. And that's why we believers should not be unequally yoked with unbelievers. As simple as that. All right. It has been 55 minutes. I don't have much more to say of this live stream, so if you have questions now, I'll give you 2 minutes to ask your questions. So I'll just walk here, I'll wait for 2 minutes to see if I get any questions relating to the topic. If I don't get any questions, then I'll close down the live stream. For those who have to go, you can go now. Thanks for being here, for listening to the live. I pray and decree that this word will be rooted in your heart and bring forth wonderful fruit in Christ Jesus' mighty name. So I'll wait, see if I get any questions from you. Let's see. 1 more minute, if there are any questions. Oh yes, happy Sabbath to you too. Peggy Jackson. Oh, Wahlberg. This is one thing I need to say about this. You say apparently it's a psyop. Okay, but that's the thing. A lot of people make conclusions quick. Oh, it's a psyop because they look at YouTube videos online. Look, I didn't do that. This Gabby Petito case, what I'm about to say about it is this. That case is suspicious. Why suspicious? The timing. A white woman being murdered. A white blonde woman. Hold on. This triggers emotions in people. Oh crap, what type of monster is this guy that victimized a woman like that? And now the public is distracted from the abuse that happens towards the Haitians and towards the fact that there may be terror suspects roaming around the United States now that have been brought in by Biden. Now, I'm not saying that the whole case is a hoax. I need to look into the case more. But from the start, I'm telling you, this thing looks suspicious to me. And also, there are many more women being killed by their partner, whether they're white, Hispanic, black, or Native American, Asian, whatever. Why is it that especially this case that they highlight? People say Rashid, she had a vlog, she had followers. Okay, she had some social media influence. Well, hold on a minute. Wasn't there another woman, I believe she was Afro-American, that was killed by this, I don't know whether it was a Hispanic guy, but this woman had OnlyFans page. That case died off quickly because people immediately began to say, well, that woman was living a sinful lifestyle, showing her body online. Well, of course, you're going to get those weird men coming after you. People just try to close the case immediately. Well, it's part of your own fault. It's better what happened, but just brush it off. But with this case, well, they're not that quick to point out that the victim may be to blame. But you can argue, if you have so much disharmony with this guy, why are you on the road trip with him? Why? There are many red flags about the story of Gabby Petito. But that's the reality of the United States. When it was a black woman with a following being killed by a man, they looked at her past saying, well, she led a sinful lifestyle, she was really serving the Heavenly Father, so it's not really that bad that she passed away. They began to suggest that. There was even this black guy online doing this. I didn't even respond. I was thinking, what a coon. Well, it's this guy. Oh, but with the guy Petito, they're crying, they're so empathetic towards, I'm thinking, oh, okay, so I see what you guys are. So if the victim belongs to the African ethnicity, for some reason, well, it's less bad. If she belongs to the European ethnicity, oh, it's so bad. So actually, you don't value the life of the African woman as much as you value the life of the European woman. That's really what it comes down to. You get me? So that's what I noticed about this case. Just one big distraction. It's race baiting, and how do I say it? It wouldn't surprise me if there's much more behind this case than they're telling you. But okay. Another question. How can someone be delivered out of trauma from abuse? I made live streams about this. So it's better if you just watch those live streams that I made about this topic. I'll go in depth into them. Another question. How can one in the military use the graduation and the crease to come out alive? Or do you mean when they're on the battlefield fighting war and they want to survive it? Or do you mean that they want to leave the military without facing repercussions? Now, in both cases, you follow the lead of the Holy Spirit. In both cases, you keep your mouth shut about your intention to leave and just find an excuse to leave the military. And then you pray, decree, and declare that you are safe and all of that, and you just do what you have to do. Let's see if I have any other questions here. I have time anyway, so, and oh, the sky is turning bright. It's turned bright now, since I've been making this live stream. Praise the Lord. Okay, I'm going to look into this Gabi Petito case. And by the way, for those that are members of my channel, please give more cases I can look into. For those that are paid members, I want to make exclusive videos for you about cases. So the Gabi Petito case, that one will be public. But if you have individual cases you want to look into, please just drop them in the comment section in the community post that I made, so that I can look into those cases. Okay? But anyway, thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. Keep agreeing with Christ. And I may make another live stream later today, within a few hours. But anyway, do what you have to do in faith, agree with Christ, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.